FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live All Things Sky Blue show with myself, Mark Smith. Joining me tonight is Cameron Cairns. Obviously, we're talking about the fantastic 2-0 win at Ashton Gate yesterday, and also we'll be talking about the Preston game on midweek. And if we get enough time, we'll talk a little bit about the Southampton game as well. Before I bring Cameron on, I'm just going to get a bit of housekeeping out of the way. Our show, All Things Sky Blue, is sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications for all your fabrication needs across Coventry and the Warwickshire area. We're also partnered by The Anecdote and the Sky Blue Tavern. We are part of the Sports Social Network, and we are sponsored by Sky and Friends pet walking services. We're also part of obviously X, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd be really appreciate if you could to try and get our subscribers up. That'd be much appreciated. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to bring Cameron on right now. Cameron, good evening, sir. How are we doing?
Good evening, mate. I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you? Hello, everybody.
Yes, yeah, good, thank you. Obviously, we're both very happy about yesterday's win, and in addition to that, Ipswich dropping some points thanks to our friends up the M69. But let's talk about yesterday's game. Let's talk about the start of the game. I think it's fair to say there's a couple of changes there that we didn't anticipate would be happening. Luke Wolfenden came into the team. Bobby Thomas and Jack Rodoni were not part of the side, out with as we found out after the game, with calf injuries, and sounds like from Frank Lampard's interview, they may not be back till after the international break. And obviously Frank Onyeka was on the pre-match presser, we were told by Lampard that he only recently returned to training, so probably wasn't a massive surprise that he was on the bench. But what was your initial impressions of the team that Lampard announced?
I knew straight away that Simone is missing. I'm thinking, okay, they've got knocks, but I think it's a testament to the personnel that we have that people can just come in and do a job. I thought Eccles had a really good game when he came in. Wolfenden, I don't really know what to think of him, just because he's always in and out of the team. But I thought he did his job very well, and he definitely does pretty well. As did Jake Bidwell in the second half when that change was needed. So I think it's a credit to the depth that we have at the moment, that players can come in after an injury and they can fill in, do a job, and it doesn't hurt us that much.
Yeah, I think it's good that we managed to win a game without probably two of our regular starting players. It's a shame for Jack Rodoni, especially because he's probably been hitting his best form in recent games. So it was sad that he couldn't make it. But looking at the game, he went with Josh Eccles in the more advanced position. Victor Torp obviously started in place for Onyeka with Matty Grimes. It's been a while since Victor Torp has started. But in terms of the game itself, I mean, I thought for a lot of that first half, I thought we struggled to get our foothold in the game. I thought Bristol City pressed us quite well. They had quite a few sort of shots from distances. I think there was one shot from I'm trying to remember who the striker was. Sinclair Armstrong, that's right, that just went wide of the post. Was you a bit concerned, for the first sort of 20, 30 minutes that first half?
I mean, a little bit, because it's because when you're under the cosh, you're always going to be a bit concerned. But I think it's just your general away performance where the home side is determined to start the game out of blocks quickly, and we just had to weather that storm. And at times it wasn't pretty, but we just had to keep weathering the storm. And thankfully, they didn't really make a lot of quality chances, and we're able to keep our shape pretty well. Although I did worry a bit on the left, there were quite a few spaces on the left hand side of the pitch, which was a bit of a concern, but we managed to deal with that okay. And I think as the first half progressed, we then started to get into the game, got got the opening goal, which was an absolute peach of cross by Jay De Silva. A superb cross from De Silva and an even better header from Sakamoto. I think Vitek will be disappointed he didn't stop that, but at the same time, you still have to credit the crosser and the goal scorer for their efforts. First half, the red card, I don't have any complaints. I think it was a red card all day long. If he doesn't stop him, he's through on goal. So yeah. I don't think we can really complain about that being a red card. But Kitchen came on. I thought Kitchen did very well when he came on, defended well. Sometimes he went forward because he was able to, because Wolfenden was able to stay back. And second half, I think defensively we were really, really good. I think it helped that we had a 2-goal lead rather than just the one, which was a brilliant finish by Haji Wright, by the way, to punish that mistake. But I thought we kept our shape really well and a very well-deserved 3 points.
Yeah, I thought Haji Wright could have scored the chance before he did actually score, but I thought it was a good save by the keeper. I thought he didn't do a lot wrong. He tried to dink over the keeper, and I think, to be fair to Vitek, he made a good save. But I agree. I thought Haji Wright's second goal was pivotal in that game because he just felt that, it was really, really on the stroke of half time. Bristol City would have their tails up, we're down to 10 men, 1-0, and you fear the worst when that happens. But yeah, that was a really timely goal for Haji Wright, and he deserves credit for that. And yeah, I thought up until we got that first goal, I thought they did quite a good job of Mason Clark. I noticed they put these 2 players on him, so they were clearly worried about the quality he possessed. But credit to Jay De Silva again. I think going forward, I think he's been very good. His crossing's really good, and as you say, Sakamoto was a really good header. I think the keeper has to save that though, but it doesn't really matter from our point of view. We take that all day long. It's a header on target. Sakamoto, for me, he just for someone who's so short, he's got such a good spring, hasn't he? He's such a good jump. He's not the first time. I remember scoring a goal at Middlesbrough, his head as well. He's just got that quality, and that you don't expect him. You don't always expect him to do that, but he has got that quality in him.
I think what's really underrated is because we are in awe of his agility, his nimble stance, and his skill, his technical skill, and his crossing ability. We actually underrate how good he is physically for a man his size. Is he like 5'7", 5'6"? But physically, he can hold his own. He's not afraid to get into a physical duel, and he's more than happy to keep at it. And he does extremely well in those physical duels. And a fair few of his goals have come with his head. So there are moments where he can surprise you, and it's a really good asset to have. And I think Sakamoto in general, since Eze's come in, as talented as Eze is, and I just love watching the guy. It's also put an even bigger step into Sakamoto. Not that he needed it anyway, but having that competition, it's just motivated Sakamoto to be even better, and it is absolutely welcome.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I think his game's improved, is upped his game massively. But yeah, I think he deserves to start in the team. I thought it was a little bit unlucky to be left down the Stoke game, but I guess he could argue that he might have wanted to rest him, maybe. But for me, Sakamoto, with our strongest team available, he features for me. He's been brilliant. Yeah, I agree. Just going back to the Latibaudiere when I thought that was a clear red card. I don't think there's any complaints there. I think it will be a 1-match ban, so I think he'll only miss the Preston game. I don't believe he'll be missing any more games other than that, which I think is a bit relief. But yeah, I thought second half was more a case of kind of backs the wall, wasn't it? Until Adam Randall gets sent off for a second yellow. So it was a bit of an unusual situation, wasn't it? It was 10 against 10, and as you said before the show started, that we were almost set up to, just not concede. Playing a lot of men, a lot of defensive players, and not looking to attack as much. But that was a big moment, and that helped us out a bit, didn't it? With the sending off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a case that the moment that red card happened, I thought we were still going to have to do a lot of defending just because of the personnel that was on the pitch. But the moment we were able to weather that storm, which we did very well, Then we could bring on attacking players like Brandon Thompson-Sante, Ellis Sims can come on and make an impact. And that's what we did. They gave us like outlets to just get the to get the ball to them. And I thought Thompson-Sante had a very good cameo, by the way. He was always running about trying to create things, doing well in the physical battle, getting a few shots away. It's been a while since he scored a goal, but at the same time, he's not been in the 11 because, well, Rudoni's been doing so well, but the performances are still there, and I do think the goals are going to come again for him because he's been threatening it every time he's been coming off the bench.
Yeah. No, I thought he did very well as well. I agree. I thought he was, he's quick, he's got pace, he brings other players into the game. For me, again, an excellent cameo appearance, and it gives Lampard a decision to make, for the Preston game and beyond that. So that was good to see. Cole Rushworth, another solid game for him, made a really good save in sort of the last dying embers of the game. I think it's from a twine shot. But he, for me, is currently our player of the season. I don't know what your thoughts are on Rushworth.
No, I completely agree with you there. I've just pulled up the goals prevented stats out of all the goalkeepers in the Championship, but based on how likely a shot was to go in or not and whether they prevented it. And Cole Rushworth is currently sitting top of that table with an average of 6.5 goals prevented, which is almost by 2 goals entirely compared to second place Victor Johansson. And I think with goalkeepers, sometimes you have to judge the goals prevented stats because I think that's a telltale sign if the goalkeeper's doing well or not. It can also be because of poor defending. But I do think that Rushworth has been the best goalkeeper in the Championship this season. He's not only been our player of the year. I'd even shortlist him for Championship player of the year. I think he's been that good.
Yeah, no, I think he's been outstanding. Okay, let's go to our comments from our audience tonight. Thanks for your comments. Please keep them coming in. So let's go to the first message from Assassins Unite 3434. Hi, all, great away win yesterday. Superbly managed by Frank before, during, and after the game with his calm head. Will see us to promotion. He's very optimistic, which I think that's right. I think it's fair to say we all are, to be fair, at this moment in time. Glenn's asking for thoughts on the referee yesterday. You actually think he was pretty good for once? Yeah, I didn't. I thought, I don't remember an instant really he got wrong. I think obviously there was that one instant I could think of, obviously not related to this game, but with the fan, obviously our fan taken ill, but I believe that the fan's okay now, which is obviously great to hear. But that was a bit of a worry, wasn't it? I guess from not so much the game, but what happened off the field with the fan. But I think he's okay, or she's okay. I don't know if it's a he or she. Obviously, we wish him or her speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that because I think there was a misunderstanding between Scott Twine and some of our players. I don't hold anything against Twine. I get it. You're chasing a game. You would just want to get on with the game. And I think it's heat of the moment. So I don't hold anything against Twine. That happens. But at the same time, I think it was very good that one of our players did spot that incident happening, and they immediately kicked it out. And thankfully, the fan was okay, and the lady who helped that fan, but before he got assistance, she's an absolute hero for that, and she deserves all the credit in the world. So yeah, whoever that lady is, you should be very proud because you quite literally saved her life, and it just goes to show that there are some things that are more important in football, and that includes life itself.
Exactly correct. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, thanks for that. And yeah, I think I did see it on social media as well. So it's good to hear that. Okay, so Assassins Unite 3434, 4 wins for promotion, 6 for the title. I think I don't want to go down this sort of rabbit hole of how many wins we need. I just want to concentrate. I'm going to be boring like Frank Lampard and say try and win the next game. That's all I'm thinking about. Beat Preston on Wednesday. I think that sort of stuff is nonsense because before a football club's form is so volatile. It can be 4 wins required 1 week, and then it could be 6 wins required because you've had a bad run. Yeah. So I think it's way too soon to be saying that.
I know we're over 3/4 way through the season, but it is still one game at a time.
Yeah. Glenn's asking if any thoughts on recalling Callum Perry due to Thomas injury and Latty ban. I say no personally. I think you've got Jake Bidwell who could come in potentially as a backup centre half if needed. That's just my view. So I think I would imagine that Wolfie and Kitchen probably start on Wednesday night, and then I think Jake Bidwell will be a backup player who could play in his position. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't even remotely entertain that idea. Callum Perry is happy where he is. He's doing a fantastic job at Rochdale. He's been a big pivotal part as to why they're still in this title race in the National League. And I think we should just leave him where he is. I understand the concerns, but I don't think it'd be right for us to upset Rochdale's apple cart when we don't massively need him.
Yeah, and I think it's only one game like Latty's out. So I think it seems a bit, maybe if Latty was out for 3 games, I could understand it. But the only other situation that I could see changing is either we another sending off on Wednesday or another injury. So that's something we may have to keep in mind. But at the moment, I'd say no. I think it's I know Glenn mentions that Brow's injured as well, but I'd be reluctant if I'm Frank Lampard to change that. Right, let's have some more comments. Ben saying, what would you like to see the club do on Wednesday for the music party? Oh yeah, because the club announced I think a lot of local acts from the city to perform, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
My personal take is I'm not going there for the music. I'm not going there to watch football. I want to see my team win. We can have the music party if we become champions. Yeah, by all means, we can have all the artists you want. But that's just me. I just want to see the football. I want to see my team win.
Yeah, I share the sentiments. I've seen the list of bands, great bands. The Specials, love them to bits, and but at the end of the day, it's a football game, so I'm not really moved on that. As long as we do our job, win our game, everything else is a bonus.
Yeah. Your average Cov fan, massive credit to, I guess, the team, and well done to Wolf, Bidwell, Eccles, and Torp. Obviously, they haven't played for a while, so they came in and did a good job. Scotty was saying we're going up. Well, we'll hope that, but obviously it's a long way to go. And he also goes on to ask, what's the thought on Borough winning today against QPR? Is it going to be them and us for the top 2? I did watch the Borough QPR game. I thought QPR were absolutely appalling. They were shocking that game. I guess it begs the question, how the hell did we lose to them? But the answer is that we were equally shocking that game as well. But for me, QPR look like a team. They probably won't go down this season, but they've almost played like a relegation side. They were absolutely shocking. But in fairness to Middlesbrough, they were class.
Yeah, I share that. Middlesbrough, obviously they lost to us, and then they had a couple of draws, but they bounced back in style. They got that huge win at St Andrews. They got a statement win against QPR. With QPR, I think they do have a very long injury list, so that definitely doesn't do them any favours. But in terms of best season, they'll be fine. I think we're only 3 points away from that magical 50. So the sooner they get there, they can then relax. But if I'm QPR, I'd have no worries. They're not going up, nor are they going down. But that takes nothing away from Middlesbrough. They are very good. But in terms of like Coventry and Middlesbrough top 2, again, too early. Ipswich have got a lot of quality. Although Hull have lost a couple of games, if they go on another run, they're still in it. And do not write off Millwall. Please don't do that, because they've been brilliant. They've been really, really good. And I remember when we played them in January, they easily could have won that night.
Yeah,
but they didn't. We got over the line. Just a bit of quality shine through, but that doesn't mean we haven't got quality. They've got loads of quality. Coburn, when he can stay fit, is very good. Mihailo Ivanovic is very good. They've got very good midfielders too. They've got a very solid defensive unit. Millwall, and I think the fact that everyone's expecting a Middlesbrough, Coventry, and Ipswich top 3 in no particular order, that makes Millwall even more dangerous because no one's expecting anything from them.
And also they've got to play Borough and Ipswich as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's good for us. I mean, I guess if you're looking ahead to games rest of the season. Got 10 games left to go. Obviously, we've got Preston coming up, which is obviously an immediate focus. But on paper, what would you say is our toughest game? I mean, I worry about the Southampton game personally. I think that's going to be a really tough game. But any game can be tough if you're not at it, of course. But I'd say out of the teams, you'd say Southampton and Wrexham for me are the two toughest games at home, anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm going to put Hull City away in there too because it depends. It's because they could still very much be in the mixer, but by the time we play them around Easter time, and if they are, they've still got every chance. Southampton, they've been largely inconsistent this season, but the talent and quality that squad still has. They're not a side you should take lightly. Derby County is another as well. If they could put a consistent run together, they'll be eyeing up that top six. So there's still a lot of difficult games. Maybe we have a favourable run in because we don't play as many as the top four or top five, but it's still a difficult run in because there's no easy games in this league.
No, I totally agree with that. Okay, so let's look at the Preston game. Obviously, we're playing Preston at a time where they haven't been, let's say, not been in good form. They've had a disappointing result against Oxford on Friday. They lost previously to that against Millwall, and they lost at Blackburn as well. So we're playing them, you could say, a good side. But what's your thoughts ahead of the game in terms of, do you think from the starting 11 yesterday, does Frank Lampard consider making changes? Does Romain Esse maybe feature in this game, or do you think he may keep it unchanged? Obviously, Latibodia suspended, I should add, but so there will be one change. But what's your other thoughts on that game?
I think we'll see four. I think we'll see four changes. I think obviously Kitchen will come in for Latibodia. I think Onyeka will be back in the side. Possibly we'll see Esse and Sakamoto swap. It might be harsh on Sakamoto, but at the same time, I just think we'll do a bit of rotation. And I could see Brandon Thompson-Asante starting as like a supporting striker for Haji Wright. So I could potentially see 3 or 4 changes midweek.
I think he has to. I think it wouldn't surprise me if he does make a few changes because we've got obviously that game and we've got the Southampton game. So do you think you reckon that he might sort of rotate the side a bit and then maybe change the side again for the Southampton game? Yeah,
I think that would be the case. I think we need to keep things fresh, and while continuity is great, and I will always advocate for continuity, I think midweek games are always the room to rotate the squad a bit, make sure that the players who aren't starting every week, they're still relatively sharp. And if they impress, they might keep that starting berth.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking back at the previous game at Preston. It was a 1-1 draw. It was a game where Preston were down to 10 men, and unfortunately, we didn't get the job done. We didn't win. I think it was Jebberson who got the equaliser. What players from their side do you think could cause us problems?
Good question. I think Ben Whiteman has had a pretty good campaign so far. He's done quite well. He's very, very good midfielder at this level. Alfie Devine, he's done really well at Preston this season. Osmajic, he has a goal in him. So does Dobbin. But I think man for man, I think we should have enough to see them off. But the player who worries me more than anyone out of anyone in that current Preston side and who's available is Ben Whiteman.
Yeah, ever present sort of midfielder. Iverson's not in goal for them. He's been a big loss for them, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. If I remember correctly, he rejoined them on a free, and he's done really well. And I think him not being available has coincided to their form dropping off, quite similar to Stoke with the loss of Victor Johansson, which isn't really a dig at Stoke keeper. It's just that's what happens when you lose your star keeper. And I think it's been similar with Preston. It's very hard, and it's not always a reflection on the number 2. They're there to do a job, but sometimes it just shows because the team doesn't have the same rapport with the number 2 as they would with their first choice.
Yeah. Okay, let's go for a prediction for the Preston game. How do you feel? How do you feel this game's going to go?
I'm very confident, actually. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Coventry. I um, I think we'll open the scoring through Thomas Asante, actually, and I think we'll dominate much of the game. Stoke will probably get a cheeky equaliser, maybe like a screamer from Whiteman or something, just something we didn't expect. It's one of them. We're like, okay, there's nothing you could do, and then we'll probably have one of those frustrating second halves where everyone's getting all frustrated or anxious, but then we'll just get a late winner again, which is just what we seem to be doing quite a lot this season.
Yeah, I'm going to say we'll win as well. I think Preston will try and come to our place and frustrate us. They might even play a low block. So I think it's important we try and get that early goal. I think that's always the challenge when you're playing against sides to do that. Oxford did that and they succeeded with a draw. So I think it's a game that we've got to be patient. It might not be easy, but I back us to win. I'm going to say 1-0 to Cov, and I'm going to go for Haji Wright to add to his goals tally. And just on the Haji Wright, how do you assess his season? Because I think he had a bit of a bad spell, but it's almost like it's a bit of his season's kind of been symmetrical of how the team season's been. He started off like a house on fire, then he had a long, barren run, but now he's starting to score goals again. I mean, it's been great to see, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like he's always been quite streaky. Ever since he's been here, he'll go on a scoring run, and then he'll go on a drought, and then he'll go on another run. He's always been quite streaky. I remember God had me like that. And when he's on it, though, he is absolutely unplayable, and he is a very ruthless finisher. I believe, is it 16 goals in all competitions now? Something like that?
I think it's 16.
It's really, really impressive. And this version of Haji Wright, it's really, really good. But I think what's even better is, even when he isn't on form, you've got Thomas Asante who can chip in with goals. Ellison's can chip in with goals. I think all three of our strikers, or in this case, Thomas Asante is probably a bit more of a hybrid because he can play everywhere. I think they have all done an excellent job this season. But Haji Wright in particular, he's definitely a big game player. He's definitely the guy who's going to get you those important goals, and that's what he's been doing. And it's at a good time as well. You've got the World Cup coming up. I think that's clearly motivating him to do well as well. And if he keeps this up, then he's going to give Pochettino food for thought in terms of a World Cup this summer.
Yeah, and also fingers crossed he doesn't get injured or anything like that in the next 10 games. So fingers crossed that he keeps up the good work and does well. Okay, let's go to Loan Watch. Bring that in.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting off is with Gloucester's two players. So Riley Siddle completed 76 minutes for Gloucester City this weekend as they beat Bracknell to remain second. Fellow City under-21 Mackenzie Stretton has joined Gloucester City on loan until the end of the season, and he completed the final 40 minutes of that game, replacing under-21 teammate Riley Siddle. Callum Perry completed the full 90 minutes midweek as Rochdale overcame Brackley in a 3-2 win, which saw them return to the top of the National League following York City's 24-game unbeaten run coming to an end with a 3-2 defeat to Boreham Wood. Perry also completed 90 minutes and got a clean sheet yesterday in a big 1-0 win against Boston United to remain top. Kai Yearn completed the full 90 for Cheshire midweek as they lost 2-0 to Worthing despite an encouraging display. Kai Yearn completed 45 minutes yesterday as a second hub substitute as Cheshire beat Weston-super-Mare 4-0. Harvey Broad completed the full 90 for Dagenham Redbridge as they beat league leaders Dorking 1-0. Obviously, a pretty well publicised game for Dagenham Redbridge because for the younger people who follow a YouTuber called KSI, he is now a part owner of that club. So his first game as part owner, they win 1-0. Josh Talawaju completed 64 minutes for Stratford Town midweek as they lost 2-0 to Kettering. And he also completed 75 minutes yesterday as Stratford drew 1-1 with Leeston. Greg Sandiford played the full 90 for Bedford as they drew 0-0 to Spennymoor in the National League North. David Mansell continues to recover from his injury, but Maidenhead are now in the playoff places in fifth after beating Maidstone 2-1 this weekend. Isaac Moore completed the full 90 for Solihull, but they fell to a 2-1 defeat against Gateshead. Aidan Dowd completed the final 26 minutes for Scunthorpe as they returned to winning ways with a 3-0 win over Yeovil. Bradley Collins completed the full 90 for Burton as they fell to a 1-0 defeat to Stevenage. Raphael played 57 minutes for Wigan as he got the assist for Owen Moxon's equaliser as Wigan drew 1-1 with Blackpool, possibly an important point in their survival hopes. Kai Andrews didn't play this weekend because Hibernian were out of the Scottish Cup, so they had the weekend off. But they are back in action next weekend at home to bottom of the table Livingston. And finally, Norman Bissett completed 63 minutes for Kaiserslautern yesterday, and he scored Kaiserslautern's first goal of the game to make it 1-1. However, Kaiserslautern lost 3-2 to Bochum. But it is Norman Bissett's second goal, and he's also got an assist within his last 3 games. So It seems like he's finding somewhere where he's finding his feet, and I hope that's the case because I do want him to do well. I want him to find somewhere. I think it's clear his future is not with Coventry, but I want him to do well somewhere, and I want him to find a club where he enjoys his football. And on that note, Norman Bissett is this week's Lone Watch Star of the Week.
And hopefully that we get a good offer for him as well. Hopefully, so get some money into the club. Callum Perry, was he playing at Rochdale?
Yeah, he was. He played the full 90 in midweek and at the weekend.
Oh, okay. And the reports on him's been pretty good then, from what you've heard.
Yeah, he's done very, very well. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he even bypassed League 2 and went to League 1. I think he's been that impressive.
Yeah. And what qualities does he bring to a team from what you've seen of him?
He's quite physically strong. He is extremely good with the ball at his feet. Extremely good. He's that good with the ball. I genuinely think he's our best ball-playing centre-half of the club. That's how highly I rate his ball-playing abilities.
Yeah,
he has a really good eye for a diagonal pass. He reads the game really well. He's also a really good leader because he's the captain for the under-21 side for quite some time, and I think he's displayed a lot of good leadership skills. And I definitely think he's a player for a future who's going to play at a high level.
Excellent stuff. Glenn's asking, what's your view on Kenzie Stratton going on loan to Gloucester? Is that a good move? I think he's what he's trying to ask.
Yeah, I think so. And I've actually noticed a pattern in the last couple of years. It definitely seems like we're building a pretty good working relationship with Gloucester City because they tend to fluctuate between National League North and then the 7th Division. But what they do quite well is develop players. I believe a few years ago, Jack Burrows had a loan there and did really well. So we clearly have some sort of working relationship with them, and I can see why we send youngsters there because they look after our players. They had Luke Bell there last season, who suffered a lot of this season through injury, unfortunately, which was a shame with how impressive he's looked. But Riley Seale's doing well there. Stretton, he'll have an opportunity to do well there. So yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we keep using Gloucester as a partner to develop our youngsters.
Yeah. I've got a question here from Lime7863. He's asking if there's any info on Dovin. I don't think he's going to be back this season. That's just my personal view, I suppose, with the way Rush's performing. You've got Ben Wilster's back up. I think they'll just... I mean, obviously, he's not on crutches or anything like that. He's back on his feet. But I'd imagine they might be looking to get him ready maybe for next season, hopefully, if we are a Premier League side. It's been a bit of an unfortunate time for Dovin, hasn't it? Because he has played well up until that unfortunate injury, and he's got a bit of a bleak future. We don't really know, but it's definitely uncertain, isn't it?
When Dovin was playing, I think a lot of us have forgotten how good he actually was because of how well Rushworth has done. But Rushworth was really good. Not Rushworth, sorry. Dovin, because I remember in that run of form that we were on last season where we were just climbing that table so rapidly, Dovin was a big part of that. He was building a really good understanding with Bobby Thomas and Liam Kitching. And then obviously he had that unfortunate injury. I do think, however, if he is back for next season and say we get promoted and then sign Carl Rushworth permanently, I'm still in my opinion that I think he would go out on loan because he's just too good to be a number 2. He needs to be playing. But it's hard to say at the minute. But at the moment, it's there is no rush for him to return. I don't think he will be involved at all this season. I think he'll just recuperate. He might play a couple of under-21 games, but that'll be it, I think.
Yeah. Glenn's asking, would you be Would you be happy to start with Dovin next season? Happy to start with Dovin next season in goal, assuming that Rushworth isn't signed. Let's think of the worst possible scenario where Brighton might move on for Bruggen and then make Carl Rushworth their number one. What do you do if you're Frank Lampard, potentially if we're a Premier League club or even just a Championship club? Do we look in the market for another replacement?
If the worst happens and we stay in the Championship next season, I've got no problem with Dovin being the number one. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be more than okay. In the Premier League, I think it just really depends on how brave you feel. Do you feel you need a new goalkeeper, or are you confident enough in Dovin's abilities?
Yeah, I think he's a top goalkeeper. Dovin. I thought he was someone we needed, and his injury was untimely for him, and I'm very unfortunate. But there's no denying that. I think we can see why we bought him from. I think is it Hammersby we bought him from. I think Hammarby. Yeah, thanks, Cameron. Yeah, but he's definitely showed a lot of quality there, and I think I think if the worst happened, then we don't sign Rushworth. I've got no problem with him starting with him next season. Hopefully, as a Premier League club, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a bit too early to talk about that. So I guess the next question would be the next 3 games. We've already discussed Preston. We said we're confident we win that one. Then we got Southampton, and then Swansea, which is another tricky game, which we should have mentioned as another tough game away from home. I wouldn't say we've got an easy run, have we? It's still quite. I mean, I'd say this month of March is still quite tricky on paper, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got Preston. Preston, who at the moment they've been on a really bad run of form, but at the same time, we know our record against them. It's not great. I think we've only beat them 3 times in the last 19 years or something. It's been that rare we've got a win against Preston, and I think only 2 of them were in the league. However, I still back us to beat Preston because history is just that history. That can easily change. We could end up becoming their bogey team down the line. But I think we'll have enough to get over the line. Southampton, I think that is a more difficult game. But again, I back us to beat anybody at home. Swansea, they're a funny side. When they're on it, I think they can beat anyone in this league. But I think their issue this season is that they've been very inconsistent. And based on that inconsistency, I think we would still have enough. So a minimum of 7 points, I think, would be more than acceptable, but I think we're good enough to get 9 out of 9.
Yeah, I think Southampton's a tough game. I mean, look, they won an FA Cup match at Fulham, so we know it's going to be a tough game. They've got plenty of experience. They've got Ross Stewart, previously at Sunderland. Cienza, excellent player, plays on the wing. Finn Azaz, who's obviously previously at Middlesbrough. So they've got obvious quality, but they don't strike fear into me. I think when we played them in the previous game, I thought we were the better side up until Jake Da Silva sending off, and after that it was just all hands to deck, and we managed to scrape a draw. And it was a heroic performance in the end to get that result. So I think I'm with you. I think we'll definitely get 7, but could we get 9? Yeah, we could do. I think we might need a bit of luck to get there, but we're definitely good enough to do it. But I'll probably go slightly conservative and go for a draw, either in the Southampton or Swansea game. I'm going to say Southampton. I think we'll go to Swansea and I think we'll win. Is my view. But we'll see what happens. Question here from Sky Blue Sam about Yang. Obviously, that's for Partnick. There's this one here, sorry. He's surprised that Yang is behind Mokel in the pecking order seemingly. It seems a bit of a strange signing, Yang, in that sense, because he's just not really had much of a look in. Do you think it's just a case of Lampard's looked at him and thought he's not quite what I need right now? I mean, it seems a bit of a, could that be suggested as a slight panic? Not by obviously as a lone player, but are you surprised that he's not featured at all that much?
If I'm Tottenham, I'm absolutely fuming, and I don't blame them because we've given him a promise that he'll be used more because he was mainly an impact player at Portsmouth, from what I read. So if you're Tottenham, you're absolutely fuming, and I don't blame them if they're fuming. We didn't really see a lot of him, so it was really hard to form an opinion because he was just mainly getting cameos. Marcelo, I think Marcelo was always like viewed as like a longer term signing. So again, it's hard to form an opinion on him as well because we've only seen him once. So it's definitely confusing, but at the same time, I also welcome it in the sense that if we had a couple of players who dropped, as long as they're sharp enough and available, they are options. So they might still have a part to play. If everyone stays fit, that's maybe unlikely, but again, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Marcelo is probably seen as a long-term signing. They've obviously spent £4 million on him, which is a big investment for a young player. So I'm hoping it won't be like a sort of Beset where, you know, he goes out on loan and he just fizzles out very quickly. I'm hoping that you know, he'll be a player that will be competing for a spot in the team. I just want to bring up Josh Eccles. I think he's been really good for us as well this season. I've been really, really impressed with him. For me, he's a very underrated player in my opinion for the side.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember many occasions, if any at all, I've ever felt let down by an Eccles performance, even when he hasn't been quite at the races, because you still see the effort. And this season, he's in terms of goals scored, it's been his most productive campaign. And what makes that even more impressive is that he's played half of those games that he's been available for off the bench. He's not a constant starter, but he doesn't sulk. He just gets on with it. And obviously, if we get promoted, there's going to be this conversation of who do we keep, who do we get rid of? Josh Eccles isn't someone you get rid of. Josh Eccles is someone we should be keeping around because we will need a lot of quality to stay in the Premier League, but you also need continuity of current players who know the club culture, and Josh Eccles is that personified.
Yeah, no, I think he's been absolutely superb. And he's been scoring goals as well. I think that's the other thing to add to with it. And his finishing has been really good. So yeah, I've been very happy with how he's performing. Do you think we've seen the last of Jamie Allen this season? Do you think, obviously he hasn't featured at all, you know, and obviously he's had a very sad bereavement and that, but do you think his time at Coventry is coming to an end?
Possibly. I think it'd be a shame in the sense that I think he has been a very good servant over the years. It took me a while to be won over with Jamie Allen. I thought he was very good in League One because he was already a top League One midfielder. But for a good few years, it took me a while for me to be convinced with the Championship level. But I think over time, I learned to appreciate. Okay, he is a very good squad option. He can fill in when required. He'll never stop running. He'll give 100%. I think his days at Coventry are going to be quite limited. Who knows? We might see him before the end of the season, but in terms of next season, I think he'll be someone who will be moved on. But I think there's a fair few Championship clubs who would be quite lucky to have Jamie Allen if that is the case. Because I think he could do a job in any squad. He doesn't sulk. He just gets on with it whenever he's called upon. If you're like an upper mid-table side pushing for the playoffs, you've got a very good squad player. If you're a newly promoted side, you've got a very experienced operator who I think would improve the quality of your midfield.
Yeah, I think he's been a good servant. I think he's been our longest servant for the club, I think, at the moment. So
I think it's Ben Wilson. He's joined with Ben Wilson.
Yes, yeah, they're both, because they both joined. I think in the League One season, we got promoted as champions, I believe.
Although I do think Ben Wilson will be staying at Coventry until retirement. I genuinely think he has a job here until retirement. If anyone deserves it, it is Ben.
Oh, he's good for the dressing room, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's good at scoring from corners as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up to tonight's show?
I think we've covered all bases.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fair to say, to summarise tonight's show, I think we're all optimistic about where we are as a club. We're 5 points ahead of Middlesbrough. Played the same number of games. We're obviously 9 ahead of Millwall and 10 ahead of Ipswich, but that could become 7 if Ipswich win that game in hand. But overall, things are in a good place. I think it's just a case of one game at a time and keeping our nerve and try not to look too far ahead. And I'm sure that's the message that Lampard will tell his players. And he's been saying pretty much what that message to the media. So I think overall we've just got to back the team, back the players. But overall, it's a really, really pleasing time to be a fan. I think it's just a case of keeping that level of performances up. We've got 10 games to go. We've all got responsibility as fans to get right behind the side, and hopefully we can, keep winning games. So fingers crossed that happens.
And I also think that just try and keep grounded, because there's 10 games to go. There's a lot of twists and turns. Chances are we probably will have a bad weekend or two where we do lose and we feel it a little bit. But try not to let your heads drop, because Ipswich might have that again. Millwall might have that again. Middlesbrough might have that again. There might be a weekend where we get a disappointing defeat, and and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was against the Sheffield Wednesday, with how crazy the season's been. But it might happen, but at the same time, it might not happen. We might keep winning, and either way, just strap in and enjoy the ride, because we are incredibly lucky to be on this ride. It doesn't happen often.
We've got to seize it, though. We've got to take the opportunity and try
Absolutely.
to get it, because I think if we don't do it this season, for me, it feels like a complete
disaster. It will get more difficult.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of resilience. I think it's just a case of, in the immediate term, it's trying to stay unbeaten at least. Obviously, we haven't got no Jack Rodone, we've got no Bobby Thomas, so two sort of key players, but we've got players in coming and do a job. So we've got to keep the faith and back the lads, whoever Frank Lampard chooses, and hopefully they'll perform. But overall, I'm feeling optimistic and positive about things. So on that note, thanks Cameron for your time tonight. Thank you to everyone listening in, and thank you to those who have posted questions on tonight's show. Just a reminder that our podcast YouTube show is sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications for all your fabrication needs across Coventry and the Warwickshire area, partnered by the Sky Blue Tavern and The Anecdote, and we're also part of the Sports Social Podcast Network, and we're proudly sponsored by Sky and Friends Dog Walking and Pet Services. Without further ado, play up Sky Blues. Let's roar the guys on, and hopefully we can win Wednesday and have a good week. A Wednesday win and a Saturday win against Southampton, and keep up the good work. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll speak to you next week. Good night.